is what's the best way to begin recovery if parts of your business are failing? Folks rarely talk about it. So, the best way for you to recover if your business has already started to fail is to work with what you got. I always preach to follow up. If you're failing, that means you aren't bringing in new people. You can't be, otherwise you would be failing. And you're not bringing in new revenue. Or the revenue you were bringing in has went down, obviously. So, what do you have left? You have a database of people that have already bought. Meaning that you should probably email, text, call them, send them mail-in orders, whatever you need to do to get your business on their mind. Call them and bundle either your products or services, bundle those and resell it to them, because that's all you've got at this point. So for example, take a breath, talking too fast. So for example, I have a groomsman special, which is a $100 service. I got it to $100 because originally it was $60. 2 years ago, it was $60. But I thought whenever I would have slow days, how can I add more value to this service so when I am slower, I can replace two people with one. So instead of me just doing a haircut and a facial, I said, why don't I include a scalp massage, the electric neck massage, a blackhead removal, and a face mask instead of just doing a scrub. So that automatically adds value, meaning that I don't need to find new people because I'm maximizing what I have. You have to maximize what you've already got. Follow up and maximize with what you got. Now, preventative, how do you prevent a business from failing? With this type of ideology I have, how do you prevent your business from failing? So, you need to look at your expenses. Businesses fail because they have too high of an overhead cost. So, for example, I work out of my apartment right now. March 2020, had I had I was trying to move into a barbershop that cost $6,000 a month to rent, which was insane, but I was gonna do it. Had I did that and then next month COVID hit, my overhead costs would have been so high that I wouldn't have been able to sustain that. So therefore it fails. But instead I stayed in a $1,100 a month rent apartment and cut until I was for sure about where I wanted to go. So when COVID hit, I was still able to pay for this rather than having to worry about two rents, especially when one's $6,000 a month. Your recurring expenses should be as cheap as you can get them, but your one-time buys should be whatever you want them to be. So for example, a barber chair is a one-time buy. You only buy that once or once every 5-10 years. So you can spend $700 to $2,000 on that because it's adding value to the experience of your customers, but you're only buying it once. But if you're doing a rent, you wouldn't do what I try to do, which was $6,000 a month for rent. Well, now you have a burden every single month. So now that's maybe $5,000 that you could have put towards reinvesting and buying new barber chairs for everybody in the shop, but instead you're putting it on rent, which is pretty much going to waste because you're just paying just to be there at that point. So you should have your recurring expenses as cheap as possible. That way, because you only fail based off recurring expenses. You don't fail because you bought too many TVs to resell. You fail because the rent's too high or the debt you owe is too high. You have to pay on that monthly. Let me know if this answered your question. Like I said, follow up, work with what you've got, and keep your recurring expenses, your monthly recurring expenses low.